Hey yo, I'ma explain why you probably never see me. I push a Lamborghini, choke your magic like Houdini. My body shaped like genie, booty dream.
Hi everyone again. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Sistamo. But before anything else, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Okay. So ngayon, ano ba ang aalamin natin at pag-aaralan natin? So yan ang malalaman natin ngayon. So our tutorial session for today is about the respiratory system. Respiratory system, or also known as the breathing system. Major organs, of course, the lungs, the left and right lungs. So now, what is the function of the respiratory system? So actually, the function of the respiratory system is to exchange oxygen from the air and carbon dioxide from the body cells. This process is known as respiration. Okay, so respiration involves inspiration and expiration. Okay, so when we say inspiration, okay, meaning inhaling once, you are taking air into the system, or you are taking the oxygen into the system. When we say expiration, meaning you are uh, letting air out of the system, or exhaling once. You are letting air out of the system, or you are letting the carbon dioxide out of the system. Now, we have a person's average respiratory rate. We can connect here the person's average respiratory rate. And the person's average respiratory rate is between 8 to 24 times per minute. Of course, control of this rate is accomplished by a person's will, nerves, or chemicals. And of course, the use of the muscles between the ribs, or yung tinatawag nating intercostal muscles. At the same time, the muscles that separating the thorax from the abdomen, or yung tinatawag nating diaphragm. So later on, we're going to discuss the function and the use of the diaphragm to our respiratory system. But now, let us talk about the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract na parts ng ating respiratory system. Okay, let's start with our nose. Okay, so this is our nose. So actually, the nose is divided by a cartilage septum. Nandito yan sa gitna, yung septum na yan. That is the cartilage septum. That nose is divided by a cartilage septum into two chambers. So we have the two chambers. Yang two chambers na yan is yung tinatawag nating nostrils. Okay? Yang nostrils na yan, kapag siya ay plural, pwede mo siyang tawaging nares. Kapag singular, naris. If you are talking about the left or the right and left nostril, pwede mong sabihin left naris or right naris. Ibig sabihin singular. Pag nares, es, ibig sabihin plural, or you are talking about the nostrils, the left and right nostrils. Pero kapag singular, pwede mong sabihin naris, ibig mong sabihin is yung left nostril and the right nostril. So for plural, nares. For singular, naris. Okay, of course, the nose as well as the entire air pathway ng nose. So kung yung dinrawing ko, okay, move lang natin. So itong dinrawing kong nose, okay, so itong nose na to na dinrawing ko, separated by the septum, yan nose na yan is lined with the mucous membrane. So, dyan, yung pathway na yan, yung air pathway na yan, mula dito sa nostrils natin, yung air pathway na to is lined with the mucous membrane. Okay, mucous membrane. So, ano ba yung mucous membrane? Yung mucous membrane, tinatawag din nating mucosa. Okay? Yung mucosa na yan or the mucous membrane secretes mucus. Yung mucus na yon, yun yung parang sticky fluid na makikita natin sa ating nose. Okay? Yan yung mucus or mucosa produced or secretes by the mucous membrane. So, ulitin natin, itong mucous membrane na to, inlined, yung air pathways sa nostrils natin papunta sa ilong natin is lined with the mucous membrane. Another term natin is mucosa. So, yung mucosa na yun yung sisecrete ng mucus. So, yung mucus is parang sticky fluid na nasa loob ng ilong natin. Okay? So, next is, of course, itong nose natin is meron tayong tinatawag na turbinates. So, ano ba yung turbinates? So, yung ilong natin, meron niyang bony projections. So, pakita natin kung ano yung turbinates. Ayan. So, meron tayong tinatawag ditong superior turbinate. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag ditong superior turbinate. Merong middle turbinate, inferior turbinate, saka inflamed inferior turbinate. Again, like what I said a while ago, when we say turbinates are bony projections, are structures located inside the nose, along the sides of the nasal cavities. They are made of bone and are covered by soft tissues known as mucosa, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina. So, yung nasa nose natin, mucosa, no, in line with the mucous membrane. At the same time, binubuod din siya ng mga superior, middle, inferior, inflamed turbinates natin. Their function is to regulate airflow and to warm and humidify the air you breathe in. Okay. So, after natin ng turbinates, so we have here no yung uh, adenoids. So, since meron tayong turbinates kanina, so erase lang natin to. Yung kanina, meron tayong tinatawag na turbinates na makikita natin sa nose. Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na adenoids. So, ano ba yung adenoids? So, check natin yung itsura ng adenoids. So, yung adenoids are specialized mass of tissue located posteriorly in the nose, of course. Kasi nasa nose tayo. Ngayon, itong adenoids na to, ayan yung nakikita nyo dito na adenoids. Okay? Adenoids yan. Yung adenoids. It helps to protect the body from viruses and bacteria. So adenoid help protect the body from viruses and bacteria. They sometimes become swollen and enlarged or chronically infected. This can be due to infections, allergies, or other reasons. So minsan tong adenoids kapag namaga siya because of the viruses and bacteria, ang tendency ginagamit natin yung adenoidectomy. Yung adenoidectomy or yung tinatawag nating adenoid removal. Once na namaga si adenoid. So, yun yung ginagawa natin. So, again, yung adenoids are specialized mass of tissue located posteriorly in our nose. Okay. So, tapos na tayo sa ating nose. Erase muna natin to. Then, let's proceed to our mouth. So, ano ba ang meron sa mouth natin? So, of course, hindi lang sa nostrils napasok ang hangin, kundi napasok din at nalabas ang hangin sa ating bibig. Mouth air as well as food enters the mouth. The roof of our mouth has landmarks. Yung landmarks na yon is yung tinatawag nating hard and soft palates, no? So, we have our mouth. Yung mouth natin, meron siyang roof, yung landmarks na tinatawag nating hard and soft palates. Okay? Laterally and posteriorly, tong mouth na to is meron din tinatawag nating specialized structure, yung tinatawag nating tonsils. Yung tonsils na yan is dyan din kumakapit yung mga bacteria, no, bago siya pumunta sa ating katawan or dumidikit dyan yung mga bacteria. Kaya minsan kapag nagkakaroon ng inflammation or pamamaga ng tonsils, nagkakalagnat tayo or dahil namamaga siya dahil din dun sa mga bacteria na finifilter na or dumidikit dun sa specialized structure natin na yan na tonsil. Okay. Of course, yung ating respiratory system, hindi rin mawawala dyan sa upper respiratory tract na yan is yung different types of sinuses natin, no? Or paranasal sinuses. Ayan. So, sa ating paranasal sinuses, we have the different types of paranasal sinuses. So, ito rin yung mga responsible, kaya ang ilong natin ay mamasa-masa din, no? Yan din yung responsible doon. Meron tayong frontal sinuses, yan, sa noo. Meron tayong sphenoid sinuses, bandang gitna. Ethmoid sinuses, yan sa gilid. Meron din tayong maxillary, bandang pisngi. So, yan din yung, minsan, pag sinasabing meron kang sinusitis, no? Minsan yan din yung namamaga. Yan, responsible din yan para ma-nourish or magkaroon din ng tubig ang ating ilong or maging mamasa-masa ang ating ilong. Kasi mas maganda rin kung mamasa-masa ang ating ilong para maayos niyang nafi-filter yung mga dust particles or bacteria na pumapasok sa loob ng ating katawan. Okay, so right after that, so tapos tayo sa mouth, sa nose, and paranasal sinuses. Let's proceed naman sa pharynx. Okay, so pharynx. So yung pharynx natin, this organ is commonly called the throat. Okay, this is our throat pharynx. So pharynx is divided into 3 regions. So ano ba yung 3 regions ng pharynx? So, ang 3 regions ng pharynx, umpisahan natin sa nasopharynx. Okay. Nasopharynx. Next is oropharynx. The third one is laryngopharynx. Ayan. Laryngopharynx. Okay. So we have 3 regions ng pharynx, the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. So yung nasopharynx natin, it's the region behind the nose, okay? Kaya naso, behind the nose. We have the eustachian tube from the ear opens into the nasopharynx. So yung eustachian tube na yun yung kapag nababarahan yung ilong natin, parang nababarahan din yung tenga natin kasi nakakunik, no? Yung ears natin doon sa ating nasopharynx. Next natin is the oropharynx. So, tong region na to is back of the mouth. You can locate this oropharynx at the back of your mouth. Kaya nga oro. So, naso sa ilong, oro sa bibig. At the same time, we have the laryngopharynx. So, this region, it is actually the region of the voice box just before the branching that separates the air pathway from the food pathway. So itong laryngopharynx na to is the region of the voice box just before the branching that separates the air pathway from the food pathway. So si laryngopharynx, larynx is matutagpuan natin yan near at our pharynx. Okay, laryngopharynx. Now, since pinag-uusapan na natin ang rings, let's talk about now the larynx. So, ano ba si larynx? So, right after the pharynx, meron tayong larynx. Okay? So, larynx. So, ano ba si larynx? So, larynx, this is the organ known as the voice box. It is here that a cartilage known as the epiglottis prevents food from entering the air pathways. So sa organ na to, sa regional larynx, sinatawag din kasi natin tong voice box, no? Dito malapit yung epiglottis. Yung epiglottis na yon, okay? So epiglottis, yung epiglottis na yan, it prevents food from entering the air pathway. So kung makikita natin dito sa bandang gilid natin ng structure ng respiratory system natin, meron tayo dito tinatawag na epiglottis, no? Sa epiglottis natin, ayan, bandang dito, epiglottis. Nagko-close yan once na tayo ay lumulunok. Kaya may mga seconds na kapag lumulunok tayo, hindi lumalabas yung air kasi nagko-close yan. At the same time, pag kumakain tayo, nagko-close din yan para hindi niya pasukan yung daluyan ng hangin. No? Nakaseparate kasi yung esophagus saka yung trachea or yung daanan ng hangin sa daanan ng pagkain, magkaiba sila. Kaya kapag lumulunok tayo, nilulunok natin yung pagkain, sumasara tong epiglottis na to para ma-prevent yung pagpasok ng pagkain doon sa pathway ng hangin. Okay? So, yun yung part ng larynx. Of course, next natin is the trachea. Okay? Trachea. So, ano ba ang nasa trachea? Okay? So, trachea, commonly known as the windpipe. Okay? Tinatawag nating windpipe si trachea. It's located in the midline of the neck and branches as it enters the chest region. The trachea is in front of the food pathway. Other structures in the neck cervical region are the lymph nodes, which are located laterally and under the chin, yung submandibular natin. This enlarge when there is localized infection. So, yung windpipe natin, kung makita natin dito, trachea, ayan. Okay, so daanan din ng hangin. So, minsan nagkakaroon din tayo ng problem dyan sa trachea once na nagkaroon siya ng infection. So, trachea, also known as the windpipe, located in the middle line of the neck and branches as it enters the chest region. That is the trachea. In front, makikita natin siya sa harapan ng food pathway or sa esophagus. So, ang esophagus ay nasa likod tapos nasa harap ang trachea. So, that is the windpipe or trachea. Next natin is bronchi or bronchi. So, yung bronchi natin, bronchi or the bronchi. Actually, this is the main air pathways branch of the trachea. No? Yung bronchi na yan is the main air pathways branch of the trachea, forming the right bronchus and the left bronchus. Siyempre, plural kapag madami bronchi. Kapag singular, sinabi mong right, singular siya, bronchus. Left, singular, bronchus din. Right bronchus, left bronchus, singular. Pero kapag plural, bronchi ang gagamitin natin. So again, this is the main air pathways, no? Branch of the trachea, forming the right bronchus and left bronchus within the lung. Okay, the main air pathway papunta sa ating bronchioles, ang bronchi. Okay, so right after the bronchi, next natin is the bronchus. So, the bronchus, okay, ito naman yung smaller air pathways branching of the bronchi and ending in the alveoli. So, tong bronchus na to, smaller air pathways na nagko-connect ng bronchi, okay, bronchi or bronchi, kay alveoli. Okay? So again, when we say bronchus, these are the smaller air pathways branching up the bronchi and ending in the alveoli. So siya yung nagko-connect mula kay bronchi papunta kay alveoli. Okay, that is the bronchus. Now, last part natin, of course, the important part for gas exchange or the process of respiration is yung tinatawag nating alveoli. So ano ba si alveoli? So alveoli, it's within the lungs are the branching structures ending the alveoli, or tinatawag natin tong air sacs, no? The alveoli and their surrounding blood vessels are responsible for exchange of gases, yung oxygen and carbon dioxide. Kasi alveoli is surrounding by smallest vessels, no? Yung tinatawag nating capillaries. So yung alveoli is another name niyan is the air sacs or balloon-like air sacs. Yung alveoli kung saan nagaganap ang gas exchange. So alveoli, air sacs. So discuss natin paano ba nagaganap siya sa alveoli, ang gas exchange. Okay, so let's talk about alveoli. So, paano ba nagkakaroon ng gas exchange or paano ba nagaganap ang gas exchange sa ating alveoli? So, let's say this is our alveoli. Tapos, napapaligiran siya ng ating capillaries. Okay? Sabihin natin, ito yung ating capillary. Okay? Tapos, dito sa part na to, dito dumadaloy ang deoxygenated blood. So kapag sinabi nating deoxygenated blood, ang carbon dioxide ay mataas, ang oxygen level ay mababa. Kapag sinabi naman nating oxygenated blood, ibig sabihin, ang amount ng oxygen ay mataas at ang amount ng carbon dioxide ay mababa. So again, when we say deoxygenated blood, ibig sabihin, ang amount ng carbon dioxide ay mataas at ang oxygen level ay mababa. Kapag oxygenated blood naman, ang amount ng oxygen ay mataas at ang amount ng carbon dioxide ay mababa. So sa part na to, dito natin padaluyin ang oxygenated blood. So paano ba nangyayari ang gas exchange? So once tayo ay nag-inhale, pinapasok natin yung oxygen mula sa labas, papasok ng alveoli. So once na nasa alveoli na si oxygen, no? At itong deoxygenated blood natin ng madaming carbon dioxide, ang gagawin niya sa carbon dioxide niya, i-release niya to papunta kay alveoli. So yung ating deoxygenated blood na may daladalang mataas na amount ng carbon dioxide na dumadaloy sa capillaries ay imumove niya papunta dito sa alveoli. So mangyayari, pupunta rito yung carbon dioxide na nasa deoxygenated blood. So once na pumasok ng oxygen dito sa alveoli, siya namang i-move ng alveoli natin papunta naman dito sa deoxygenated blood para maging oxygenated blood, no? So same process pa rin, ulitin natin, mula dito kay deoxygenated blood na mas mataas ang amount ng carbon dioxide kaysa sa oxygen. So mag-move siya dito, deoxygenated blood. Yung deoxygenated blood na yun na may daladalang carbon dioxide, no, ay siya namang magre-release dito ng carbon dioxide papunta sa alveoli. So, once na meron ng carbon dioxide yung alveoli, yung oxygen naman na galing sa labas, papasok ng alveoli, no, ay siya naman matatransfer papunta dito sa deoxygenated blood para maging oxygenated blood. So, less amount ng oxygen kay deoxygenated blood at i-release niya yung carbon dioxide papunta kay capillaries. Pagdating naman dito sa capillaries, kapag napuno na to ng oxygen, siya namang i-release niya papunta doon sa deoxygenated blood para maging oxygenated blood. So, yun naman yung makikita nyong nasa heart, no? Kapag color red, ibig sabihin oxygenated blood. Kapag color blue, ibig sabihin deoxygenated blood. So, ito yung process natin sa alveoli ng gas exchange. Okay? So, in-next naman natin is the last part, yung sinabi ko sa inyo, is yung ating diaphragm. Pero bago tayo pumunta sa ating diaphragm, let's talk about the key concept, no, ng process natin ng gas exchange. At the same time, key concept natin ng respiratory system bago tayo pumunta sa function ni diaphragm. Okay. So, ang key concept natin dito ay the air we breathe goes through the nose, the nasal passages, and then through the trachea or windpipe, which separates into two branches called bronchial tubes or bronchi, one entering each lung. The bronchi subdivided many times inside the lungs, analogous to the branching pattern of grapes, finally becoming hair-like tubes called bronchus. In the last part of the terminal bronchus are tiny bubble-like bunch of structures called alveoli or air sacs. So that's our key concept. So now let's proceed to our uh, diaphragm. So ano ba ang gamit ni diaphragm dito, no? Ano bang ganap niya sa ating respiratory system? So, it's a type of muscle. Si diaphragm, kapag nag-inhale ka, okay? So, once na nag-inhale ka, uh, yung diaphragm bumababa, okay? Tapos, nag-expand yung chest cavity mo. So, simultaneously, nangyayari, yung ribs tumataas yung ribs. Tapos, once na tumaas yung ribs, nag-i-increase yung size ng chest cavity mo. So, i-summarize natin, no? Para mas maunawaan natin. So, sa diaphragm, once na nag-inhale ka, okay? So, nag-inhale ka, ang tendency, si diaphragm, anong mangyayari? Bababa siya. So, kapag bumaba si diaphragm, mag-expand yung chest cavity natin. So, yung chest cavity natin, mag-expand. Okay? So, simultaneously, ang mangyayari naman sa ribs, okay? Ang mangyayari naman sa ribs natin, tataas siya. Once na tumaas siya, mag-i-increase naman yung size ng chest cavity mo naman. Okay? Mag-i-increase yung size ng chest cavity. So, ulitin natin. Once na nag-inhale tayo, no, yung diaphragm natin, bababa. So, once na bumaba siya, mag-e-expand ngayon yung chest cavity. Okay? So, simultaneously, ang mangyayari, yung ribs mo aangat. Okay? Kapag umangat yung ribs mo, mag-increase din yung size ng chest cavity. Okay? So, mas madami na ngayong space. So, more space na and less air pressure sa lungs mo. Okay? So, mangyayari yung air pushes in from the outside where there is a higher air pressure. So, ano naman kung nag-exhale naman tayo? So, once na tayo naman ay nag-exhale, okay? Exhale. So, once na tayo ay nag-exhale, ang diaphragm naman magre-relax. Kanina kasi pag nag-inhale tayo, magko-contract yung muscle ng diaphragm. Ngayon kapag nag-exhale naman tayo, magre-relax naman yung muscle ng diaphragm. So, mangyayari, yung ribs babalik sa original form, yung diaphragm babalik sa original form. So, ang tendency, yung chest cavity, no, babalik siya sa original size. There is now less space and greater air pressure inside the lungs. So, it pushes the air outside where there is lower in air pressure. So, summarize natin ulit yung gamit ni diaphragm. So, sa diaphragm natin, kapag tayo ay nag-inhale, ang muscle ng diaphragm ay magko-contract. Kapag tayo naman ay nag-exhale, ang muscle naman ng ating diaphragm ay magre-relax. Okay? So, mangyayari, kapag ikaw ay nag-inhale, bababa yung diaphragm, mag-expand yung chest cavity. So, simultaneously, yung ribs bababa, mag-increase yung size ng chest cavity. So, there is now more space and less air pressure inside the lungs. Ang mangyayari, yung air pushes in from the outside where there is higher air pressure. So, it pushes into the lungs where there is lower air pressure. So, when you breathe out naman or nag-exhale ka naman, Katulad ng sinabi ko, yung diaphragm muscle magre-relax pag exhale. So, mangyayari, yung diaphragm sa yung ribs, babalik sa original place niya or sa original size niya. So, yung chest cavity, babalik din sa original size niya. So, there is now less space and greater air pressure inside the lung. So, it pushes the air outside where there is lower air pressure. So, I hope you learned a lot today about our discussion about respiratory system. So, thank you so much, and that's all for today. Thank you. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Bye.
Hey yo, I'ma explain why you probably never see me. I push a Lamborghini, choke your magic like Houdini. My body shaped like genie, booty dreamy, waist is teeny.